being held to review the agenda for the regular monthly board meeting. It will be held on Wednesday, June 19th at 7 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Please rise for flag salute.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being recorded for district purposes. It is or may be published in part or in its entirety on the district's website without the express permission of meeting participants. May we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Carpenter?
Here.
Mrs. Fisher?
Here.
Ms. Fitzko?
Here.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Here.
Mrs. Ramasco?
Here.
Mr. Kovacevic?
Here.
Mr. Metz?
Here.
Ms. Young? Mr. Zaghi?
Here.
8 present.
Thank you. May we have the sunshine law, please?
The Board of School Directors held executive sessions on Tuesday, May 28th and Wednesday, June 12th to discuss personnel matters, matters subject to attorney-client privilege and other confidentiality law, litigation or threatened litigation matters, sensitive public safety issues.
Okay, thank you. Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Any amendments to the agenda?
Session.
It just has to be announced, so it doesn't need to be on the.
She
Yeah,
announced.
correct.
Thank you.
Okay,
You're welcome.
very good. Thank you. Any recognitions, presentations?
Tonight.
Okay, thank you. At this time, district residents may come forward to comment on agenda items only. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each resident will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment prior to the standing committee reports will be limited to 1/2 hour. Although not required, board members desiring to address questions or concerns may do so after the residents' comments or questions or at the conclusion of the committee reports. There will still be an opportunity for residents to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District under old and new business at the end of the meeting.
Go off from 10 to 9, that's something. I have a couple of questions. I'm just gonna ask the questions here, you can address them, I think, later when I go back. On your sunshine, law, consider the purchase of lease of, real estate and sensitive public safety issues to address those. Why you had those in executive session. And, couple other things. Technology purchase, I'd like to elaborate on that. Why are we spending so much money right off the top? Simply like all those in, a little bit at a time. Spending $250,000 right off the bat. The concrete project, why did you go up $15,000? What is the scope of this concrete project? And the volleyball system, $6,000 you're spending. I need to elaborate on that. I don't know what $6,000 is for. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, we might as well take my sunshine.
Your first questions related to the sunshine law, so I'm happy to address those. Consideration of the purchase or sale of real estate, that was not a purpose of any executive session announced this evening. The purposes stated were, and just for clarity, were personnel, matters subject to attorney-client privilege and other confidentiality laws, litigation or threatened litigation matters, and this evening included some references that we thought were appropriate to characterize additionally as sensitive public safety issues. The school code permits school boards to meet in executive session to discuss school safety matters. And I will attest that the matters discussed in executive session met that exception.
Okay, thank you.
You want me to answer?
Are you good with I think the tech purchase, my perspective is that is a gradual rollout, right?
Yeah, so.
Meaning this is not replacing everybody's, this is, would you mind going into how we address that?
Sure. So as far as technology goes, we know that we're a one-to-one school district now since COVID. Most of the purchases in technology to allow us to go one-on-one were paid for out of grant dollars at the time. Although some, the remaining devices were used underneath our current inventory. As those were all distributed to the kids to get through COVID, and we became a one-to-one district. Eventually, we are going to need to replace these devices. This, in a sense, and we have a new technology director, but in a sense, from what we've been able to talk about, is going to replace one grade level of laptops and approximately one grade level of iPads. In some regards, I think some would argue that we may even need to purchase more, but we are trying to be conservative in this, based upon the cost, to ensure that, we're trying to make them last as long as we possibly can, while still having a plan to put new devices into the hands of the students who are going to need these. And they're going to need to try to take care of those throughout the duration of their career. So I think this is a pretty conservative method, and it's not actually replacing all of them. It's replacing approximately a grade level at a time. That's my comment to that.
Yeah, and then there was another question about 6,000.
One was the concrete.
Bed. Of the concrete.
So we know, as a reminder, that we sold Ridge Road, right? And we talked this over as a board, and what the board had decided is that, yes, we would build a whole building. And we decided that we were going to eventually do that in the area of overflow parking, the best I could describe it, near Economy Elementary. When the concrete pad was put in, or started to put in and make ready to pour it, it was determined that some of the spots had area of concern and needed additional support for that. In other words, the foundation that it was going to be laid on they would not be able to guarantee it if we didn't take some additional steps and some additional prep work. So unfortunately, that was the cost to do that. And the original bid that was approved, I'd have to go back and look that up. You might remember the initial cost, Mrs. Amadeo, but I think it was $450.
Of the concrete pad.
Yes.
The original cost was 52,000 or some odd cents. The reason for the change order, I was called up when they started digging into that parking lot. And I have actually a picture of it. Underneath the parking lot when they were digging was I don't know what you call that, maybe a big thick plastic like trench. And it was preventing them from digging the holes appropriately, the sizes of them. So as he was digging, it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So at that point, we had to make a decision. Do we just keep digging and to see how big the holes go, or do we, complete it the correct way? Because if we continued digging that way, it would have been an incorrect way to do it. And we would have had issues down the road. So we kind of were, we had to make a decision at that point.
And my
Completely correctly.
understanding, if we had chosen that option, we would have lost all protections.
Yes, he wanted all his,
Want us to sign a release.
right, exactly. Yep.
So then to finalize that, then upon completion of that, we were going to build we're going to have another group come in, put the whole building up. And from there, it will be used to hold maintenance equipment, and also hopefully to be able to hold some of the track equipment and softball equipment that's currently being stored in older trailers. That was that one. And then the volleyball net system, I mean, it's my understanding from the coach and athletic director that this volleyball net system has been here for quite some time, and it's basically starting to fail, has been failing. So as everything, when you have a successful, good program, you want to be able to support them. I think it's reasonable to replace the net system, and we will be able to do that. And I recommend it.
Okay, thank you. With that, let's move to legislative. As Ms. Young is not here, would anybody like to take personnel?
Mr. Carpenter, you want me to take it?
Sure.
Number one, resignation. It is recommended to accept the resignation of Erin Hine from her position as an Ambridge Area High School biology teacher effective June 4th, 2024 with regret. Number two, summer credit recovery. It is recommended to ratify the following teachers as instructors for the summer credit recovery program to tentatively be held on Wednesday, June 12th, 2024 through Tuesday, June 25th, 2024 from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Teachers will be paid at the contracted rate. Shayna Dowland, Ty Baker, Terry Moon, Kutsevich, Megan Recipio. Number three, ABC Transit Bus Driver Aid. It is recommended to approve the individuals listed as operators, attendance, and maintenance for ABC Transit for the 2024-25 school year, pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current former employers to Act 168 screening. Kevin Rowland Driver, Sabria McLeod Kimbrough, aide. Number four, 2024-25 coaches. It is recommended the following individual be approved to fill the designated fall coaching position for the 24-25 school year at a salary as per the terms of the collective bargaining agreement, pending receipt of current clearances, satisfactory drug screening, TB testing, and responses by current former employers to Act 168 screening, provided the school year allows coaches to hold fall sports as normal. Number one, football, Marlon Cottrell, volunteer coach, no remuneration. Number five, permanent contracts. It is recommended the following professional employee who has completed 3 years of satisfactory service in the Ambridge Area School District as of the effective date designated be given permanent professional contracts. Mara Bartholomew, tenured as of June 15th, 2024. Number six, posted positions, clubs, activities. It is recommended to retroactively approve of Noah Rinker as the Math Counts Club sponsor for the 2023-24 school year to be paid the split stipend of $488.87. Number seven, High School Silhouette Club. It is recommended to rescind the approval of Sarah Schaefer as the Silhouette Club sponsor for the 2023-24 school year. Are there any questions? No, I'd like to move for the adoption of items 1 through 7.
Okay, thank you. Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. Roll, please.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Fusco,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mr. Kovacevich,
Yes.
Mr. Metz,
Yes, and to everything but number 3, I abstain.
Mrs. Ramasco,
Yes.
Mr. Zachary,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you. On the committee reports, non-voting agenda items, education and technology, Mrs. Ramasco, please.
Thank you, President Carpenter. Number one, Pennsylvania Department of Education, ARP, ESSER Health and Safety Plan. It is recommended to approve the updated American Rescue Plan, ARP, Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, Health and Safety Plan for the 2024-2025 school year. Number two, special education out-of-district placements. It is recommended to approve the following agreements with the special education out-of-district placements for the 2024-25 school year, pending review of the administrators and the solicitor. Number one, outside special education placement, Bradley Center, BCRC Incorporated, Class Academy, DePaul Institute, Easter Seals, Holy Family Institute, MHY Longmore Academy, McGuire Memorial, New Horizon School, Presley Ridge Day School, St. Stephen's Academy, Glade Run, Watson Education Center, Watson Institute, Western Pennsylvania School for the Blind, Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf, Wesley Spectrum Academy. Number two, mental health facilities, Clarion Psychiatric Services, Pathways Adolescent Center, Perseus, Sharon Regional Health System, Southwood Taylor Diversion Program, Western Psychiatric, MHY Family Services. Number 3, Detention Center, Keystone Adolescent Center Charter School, Adolphi Village. Number 3, back to school. The first day of the 2024-25 school year for students is Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. The instructional day start and end times are elementary, 8:25 a.m. to 3:05 p.m., middle school, 7:25 a.m. to 2:20 p.m., high school, 7:30 a.m. to 2:26 p.m. Teachers return on Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. Number 4, point of information. Teachers start and end times, elementary, 7:50 a.m. to 3:25 p.m., middle school, 7:20 a.m. to 2:55 p.m., high school, 7:25 a.m. to 3 p.m. Number 5, master schedules. It is recommended to approve the tentative master schedules for the 2024-25 school year. Number 6, on-site dental care. It is recommended to approve the Miracle Dental Association on-site team to provide dental care to all students in the district for the 2024-25 school year. The district does not incur any expense or liability. Number 7, Vision to Learn. It is recommended to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Ambridge Area School District and Vision to Learn for the 2024-25 school year. The program provides free vision screenings and glasses to students who need them but cannot afford them. The district does not incur any expense or liability. Number 8, Veeam software. It is recommended to approve the renewal of Veeam software licenses in an approximate amount of $8,368.10. This software provides backup, recovery, data management solutions that deliver modern data protection. Number 9, technology support agreement. It is recommended to approve a blank year agreement with Communications Consulting Incorporated, beginning and ending on dates to be determined for the total cost of amount to be determined, pending final review of solicitor.
Could I just
Yes.
interject there? So this is CCI. They are up at the end of the month. We have been speaking with them. They are most likely looking for a 3-year agreement. They do provide our back end services to us, as well as an employee that is on staff regularly. However, we do have 1 or 2 more meetings to try to finalize the details and hope to have that agreement to you. There was, as in most things, there was an increase. So we've been talking to them a little bit about that from the year before. So I just wanted to kind of give you an update. Once we finalize and have our final meetings, then Ms. Mueller will share that with you as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did have a question on that. I guess I might as well ask while you brought it up. So there's nothing in addition that we're looking to pay. Like the cost could potentially be more, but there's nothing in addition to those 2 that you mentioned. Nothing in addition to what we are already paying them for. The back end.
Yes, I think that's correct. We did have a little bit of conversation about some substitute services. At this given point, we are looking to hopefully move forward with filling the our own technology support technician. And we had interviews, and we'll be recommending somebody to the board most likely here in the near future. But we did have a little conversation about what that might look like. At this given point, I don't think that will be the direction if the individual, the employment process works out with that individual. If that answers your question.
Yes. So the amount that's in here for next week wouldn't include that support.
Correct.
Obviously, if it was needed, then we would add another.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you. Number 10, technology purchase. It is recommended to authorize the purchase of 220 Dell Latitude 3140 laptops from Communications Consulting Incorporated using State Building PEPPM 2023 for a total cost of $126,898. This will be paid from the 24-25 budget. Number 11, technology purchase. It is recommended to authorize the purchase of 200 iPads 10th generation with Apple Care Plus for 4 years and STM Dux cases from the Apple Education Store for a total cost of $99,381.40, not to exceed $110,000. This will be paid from the 24-25 budget.
Just make one quick comment there. I'd like to thank Mrs. Ferguson for her work on this. I did tell her to put a not to exceed amount as she continues to make sure we get all the necessary services and support services that are necessary into that bid. So that's why it's worded like that. But most likely the number will be close to the accurate number that she had there of the 99,381.40. But we did give her a little leeway because I want to make sure these devices that we are purchasing have the support necessary that she feels to have us continue to have success with those for a longer period of time.
Okay, thank you. I guess I might as well ask my question there too. What grade level? You said one grade level. Which grade level is that?
For the iPad one, we are still in some conversation. Our original thought with the previous technology director, I think, was that it would be kindergarten. But in all due defense to Ms. Ferguson, she's just kind of started. So she's trying to get her bearings and where she would best recommend that. So both of the grade levels may change, although it's unlikely for this year. Probably will be kindergarten and then sixth for
That was my other question.
yes. But that was the intention and the way we were moving through the budget process, but I would like to give her the leeway if she has some additional feedback that she'd like to recommend differently, then we would have that conversation.
Okay. And then I had one more question, I guess, before I move on. I assume that we will be taking a look at the laptops and the iPads at some point in the near future to see if we're going to need more than 1 year replaced each budget year. Because at some point they're going to.
Well, to the gentleman who spoke earlier, you're right, but we have to be very mindful of the dollars that we have here. It's very difficult to be able to, afford to be able to constantly bring new ones in. So I think that was a very good point, well taken. So we got to make sure that we really monitor those and we do budget for them. To your point, I think, yes, there could come a point where, as I said earlier in response to his question, that it may require us to do a little bit more. You're right. But we also have to try to do our best to take care of these, extend these the best we can, because they are large purchases. They're important to our students in order for them to be successful. But, we have to be mindful of the budget.
Just one follow-up. You mentioned her doing an assessment. We're giving her time to do an assessment before we make these final. The final.
Well, I think the purchase needs to be done so that we could get these in.
Right.
And I would say that we're probably leaning towards implementing them in kindergarten and sixth grade. However, I would like to have the opportunity to, Ms. Ramasco's point, I think what she's asking, which is a fair question, are we going to continue to assess these and see it in future years? Do we need to budget more? And I think the answer to that is yes, we have to continue to do that. But as we heard earlier, we have to be mindful that this is a budget and we can't, we have to be responsible with the taxpayers' dollars as well. So it's going to be a balance and one that we're going to have to try to come up with the best plan possible.
Thank you.
Once that assessment's complete, will you give the board some sort of feedback as to what we're going to be looking at moving forward?
Yes, I think if Ms. Ferguson should be able to look at that, get her bearings. I'd ask that we be a little bit patient and probably,
Sure.
That's almost looking into next year's budget cycle.
But at least we would know before the budget goes out.
That would be the
If
plan
there's
for
gonna
sure.
be a need for more. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. And then number 12, Infinite Campus. It is recommended to approve the renewal of Infinite Campus annual licensing subscription for the 2024-2025 school year at a cost of $26,204.40. Are there?
I actually have a question on that one. I know at the end of last school year, we kind of had that unexpected transition with, I forget the previous tool that we used, but I'm sorry. Oh, but anyway, I know that, the end of last year didn't go as smoothly as everybody would have liked with the grading. And did that feel better this year with Infinite Campus?
I think when you're transitioning to a SIS program, I think we're making some progress. They did send us some support and some training. I think year by year, as we continue to use the product, it's going to go better. That's the hope. I won't say that it was perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they did work with us to offer some training and had some folks come in with our key folks and worked with them on that. So
The reason I ask, it was, folks were fairly vocal about it last year, but I haven't heard much on the subject this year, which tells me that's probably a good thing. But I just want to get your perspective on that. Okay, thank you.
sure.
I also have a few questions about Infinite Campus. Does this include those credits that were being asked for because of the transition and the issues that were asked for by the public in the previous meetings? And if so, what would the cost be if it didn't impact that?
The willingness that they gave us instead of a credit was they sent a high-end resource trainer here for a long period of time that would have cost the district a significant amount of money at no cost.
So the training was worth the value.
I think so. I think the individual who came here was definitely worth it because from what I've heard, and that would be more of the principals, Dr. Filipowski, the guidance counselors, those folks who got the training. But it was my understanding from them that it really made things improve. I don't want to say that it's perfect, but
Sure.
that was probably equally as important as just getting a discount, because if all we did was continue, because the person not only gave training, but they helped to fix the issues from within and model that. And I think that was helpful to our group. So that was the discount that we got. And in addition to that, they gave us a reduced rate when we didn't have somebody to answer help tickets, and also kept them on for 1 month at that same cost to transition with our new tech director.
The other question that I had was around the theme. Is that a service that is potentially provided by CCI in the technology support agreement, or are these two different types of support options for the school? The backups and modern day protection versus the communications consulting. I know in my line of business, when we deal with third parties in this capacity, they at times have more cost-effective options because they're able to spread it across their footprint versus us just purchasing it. So combination of services through them, if available.
So I could defer here to our tech director. My understanding would be that they use that product and monitor that. So CCI would.
CCI is the individuals requesting that we purchase this for their
Right.
use. Okay.
That would be
that's-
my understanding.
That's what I'm also asking.
Yes.
Indirectly.
Any other questions?
I have one other question. Going back to the laptops, I don't know about the iPads personally. And I know this is a lot to ask, and so obviously, time constraints aside, when these are assessed, can we look at the time that it takes to load assignments, load documents, load PowerPoints, things like that? Because I know I've witnessed myself and I've heard many other parents discuss the timing that it's taking to even open an assignment, let alone complete it. And I think for a lot of families and a lot of students who may not have adult supervision while they're doing their homework, it's getting to be a very large task for them just to complete that homework assignment. So I know that's a lot to assess every single laptop for that, but throughout time, if that could possibly be looked at, I think it would be helpful. That's all. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Finance and budget, Mr. Zanchi.
Yes, number one, school district monthly bills and salaries. It's recommended that the monthly school district bills in the amount of 3.1 million and the monthly school district personnel salaries in the amount of 1.7 million be paid. Cafeteria monthly bills and salaries. It's recommended that the monthly cafeteria bills in the amount of 80,000 and the monthly cafeteria personnel salaries in the amount of 62,712 be paid. Budget transfers. It's recommended to approve a budget transfer for June 2024. Post audit budget transfers. It's recommended the Board of School Directors approve the administration's recommendation to ratify the list of budget transfers for the 23-24 fiscal year due to audit reclassifications. A list of transfers will be provided to the board after the completion of the 23-24 audit. Pennsylvania School-Based Access Program. It's recommended to approve the Pennsylvania School-Based Access Program Local Education Agency Agreement for the 24-25 school year. Insurance coverage. It's recommended that the board approve the following insurance premiums obtained through district broker Arthur J. Gallagher for the 24-25 school year at a total cost of $317,640. Package Utica, $198,752. Property casualty, general liability, auto legal liability, and all commercial coverages. Cyber coverage with travelers, $19,286. And workers' comp UPMC, $99,602. Services agreement reinstatement. It's recommended to approve the third-party administrative services agreement reinstatement for the continuation of 403B, 457B administration services by the Omni Group for the 24-25 school term as per the fee schedule for 24-25. PA Educator. It is recommended to approve the contract of service between the Ambridge Area School District and Pennsylvania Educators Clearinghouse, paeducator.net, for the 24-25 school year at a cost of $22,175. This is at no increase in cost. Tax exoneration. It's recommended to approve tax exoneration regarding the collection of real estate tax conditioned upon the mutual, municipal, and county reciprocal exonerations for the same years relevant to the following property. Tax parcel listed at 57 Harmony Road, Baden, PA, to be purchased by Blue Sky Builders of Baden, PA, for the real estate taxes for 2016 to present. And repository settlement, it's recommended the board approve the sale of the property from the Beaver County Repository of Unsold Property for the following property, the 57 Harmony Road, Baden, PA. Same tax parcel as number 9 for the bid amount of $2,326.75 to Blue Sky Builders. Any questions?
I have a few questions. What are the budget transfers for the month?
I just have one small transfer that we had for the music department. The Highland Elementary requested their normal equipment, finishing out the budget for, they needed replacement equipment. And the transfer was from the high school music for $600 to the Highland Elementary music for $600 because there was excess money in the high school transfer. I have it here.
And when is the audit to be completed?
The audit is for the 23-24 school year, and that's normally completed, from what I understand, in September. And at that point, there are requirements based on the audit reclassifications that we'll have to do. And we'll give you a list of those once we get that information.
Is there a reason we have it on the agenda for this month to talk about versus August, September?
Because it is for this school year and it closes out on June 30th, we have to put it on the agenda for
For the
now.
current school year?
Right.
Okay. What is SBAP?
What number are you on?
Number 5.
Well, that's the school-based access. So basically, through special education and other services, you could turn in those services and then you get reimbursement from the government.
Okay. I'm learning.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Arthur J. Gallagher, the insurance coverage on number 6. Has that been a long time broker for us?
Not, I wouldn't say a long-term group. They did come on recently and beat the pricing of whoever was here prior. They asked to put it in and it had been lower for a while.
Is the current packages that we're looking to approve consistent with prior year package, or is this a substantial increase in the current year?
It is an increase. We kind of had some discussion in and around that. If you wanted to elaborate why.
I do have the breakdown for you if you want me to share it with you, tomorrow, whenever I get back. But there is a slight increase. And, the short period of time I've been here, they have been very helpful, this company, providing information and helping me learn as well. But because of some of our claims or the number of claims that we've had over the year, it did increase a bit, but I can break that down for you, share that with you.
Thank you.
I would just say it seems like from my perspective, everything unfortunately is going up.
Yeah.
Personal line of business, we have found some savings, mostly in our auto insurance in the current year, but that's based on claims experience, not necessarily everything that we have. So I was just unsure how it kind of fell out for us. Health insurance, of course, not an easy one. And then my last question is around the 57 Harmony Road. That property, is that organization looking to build? I mean, they got it at a potentially steal, and they're asking for even more leeway and forgiveness from us. And I'm not sure maybe what that value of the taxes could be, or if they're in a position that, why do they need it to go with that? So do we have more information on that?
And I can certainly look and try to pull the tax assessment blotter and share that with the board in the next couple of days, so you have that piece of information to go along with it. It is being sold by the Tax Claim Bureau out of the vacant property or out of the repository. So that suggested it at least went up for sheriff's sale once a number of years ago, because if the additional exoneration is 2016 to present, that's the indication of how long it's been in the repository. And that's the companion action. Now, you could look at those. You can look at both of those separately. I think number 10 is, I think your action is more of a formality concurring action with the counties. Number 9 is an independent one that you have done as a matter of practice. We can also look and see if they have other adjacent properties to that. I'll see what I can piece together in terms of
Thank you.
some information. Sure.
That's all I had in finance. Sorry.
All right, thank you. Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Metz.
All right. Number 1, concrete pad project, change order. It is recommended to ratify a change order request from Murin Incorporated for the concrete pad project previously approved at the April 17th, 2024 board meeting, including it to include the scope of work as identified by Murin Incorporated in their correspondence at the increase amount of $15,295.13. Number 2, it is recommended to approve the proposal from Building Control System Incorporated to replace the unit ventilator control system at Economy Elementary at a total cost of $67,870. through the state bidding process and CoStar. Number 3, it is recommended to amend the current contract with Teak Elevator and consolidate to one contract for 3 years, 3-year term at a total cost of $23,558.40 per year. This is a savings of $2,841.60 annually. It is recommended to approve, number 4, it is recommended to approve a proposal from Burns Industrial Equipment to purchase a scissor lift in the amount of $23,100. The district has obtained 3 quotes, and this was the lowest bidder. Any questions?
I have one. For the concrete pad, can you remind us of the amount of the building?
I can pull it for you too, to
Okay.
be exact, but it was roughly, I feel like 52,000 roughly.
The concrete.
Oh, the
con-
concrete
building
or
was
the building?
47,000. Yeah, you could
The
get
boarding's
basic.
building's 41,000. I'm sorry. Did you ask for the
41,
building? Talking
Okay,
about the-
thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. And what did we bring in from Ridge Road approximately?
I believe it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Pasquale, I believe it was like 99,000.
Yeah, it was, we charged rent, as you might recall, throughout that process. And then we allowed them to apply that towards that. The total sale was about, if you include the rent and everything, was about $100,000. I think there was, they may have had to put something down too. I don't have that in front of me. I
That's fine.
apologize.
No,
But
it's fine.
I'd say roughly the total was 100 and some thousand that we were able to bring in on it.
Including the rent or not?
I don't
including
want to say the wrong
Okay.
thing in public. I'd have to look that up. If you want me to get that answer, I can. I know that there was something that said you put this amount down and then that would come off the
it?
cost.
Right.
What I remember from not in front of me is that was like $10,000. And then I think the total sale might have been about 90. And then we charged rent as well. That's how I remember it.
Yeah.
But I could find, like, we could resend out that agreement to make sure we could
If you don't
find
mind,
that.
that would be great.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, athletics, Mrs. Fisher.
The scissor lift is to be paid for in 23-24 or 24-25, because I believe it was budgeted for 24-25.
That one is 24-25.
Okay. And then the unit ventilator, that was a failure that needed to be replaced, or is that an upgrade?
So a majority of the systems at Economy Elementary, this is for one of the wings, major wings. We're having trouble with basically the control systems talking to be able to work the heat and air conditioning appropriately. So this is like roughly half of the project.
Okay.
And we did budget for that for the 24-25 year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Okay,
Fisher, please.
President Carpenter, thank you. Number 1, volleyball net system. It is recommended to purchase a volleyball net system replacement from Sports Imports at a total cost of $6,419.70. Any questions?
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Public Relations, Ms. Fitzko.
I have nothing to report this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Steering and Rules, Mrs. Kehoe.
Item number 1 is policy 249, anti-bullying/cyberbullying. It is a third reading. It is recommended to update school board policy 249, anti-bullying, cyberbullying, to provide all students and employees with the right to a safe and civil educational environment free from harassment or bullying. Are there any questions? That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Kehoe, Legislative, Ms. Fitzko.
I have one thing tonight, meeting notice. It is recommended to reschedule the July 10th, 2024 board meeting to July 17th, 2024. Are there any questions? Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fitzko.
If you will hold on a
yes.
second, President Carpenter, Labor Relations has nothing to report.
If I missed you, my apologies.
You did not, it was not in the agenda.
It's not on there.
I wanted to make sure I at least said my part.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. No stone unturned, folks.
Good and bad stones.
All right, so I don't have a whole lot to say tonight other than to just reiterate how much I enjoyed attending the Ambridge graduation. It's an exemplary service, so thank you for all of the administrators and staff that worked so hard to do such a first-class send-off for our seniors. Really was an amazing night. The weather cooperated. It just really couldn't have been better in a lot of ways. It was a fantastic night. So thank you to all of you for doing that. And again, one more send off to our exemplary seniors. I was reminded as I heard some of them talk and got to hear some of their plans for the upcoming years. They really were and are an exemplary group, and we're sorry to see them go, but we're really excited to see what they do, and we're super excited to see what the following classes bring to the table. So with that, we're looking forward to the 24-25 year for that. So with that, Dr. Pasquarello.
Yeah, likewise. Wish our seniors all the best. It was a great close to the school year. I'd like to thank all the administrators, all the teachers, all the staff, the students, parents, everyone who helped to make this a very successful year. Hope everyone has an enjoyable and safe summer, and we'll be planning for next school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pasquarello, our esteemed solicitor.
No report this week.
Turnbull. All right, thank you. With that, on to old and new business. It's now time for old and new business. Any district resident who desires to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District should now come forward. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment prior to standing committee reports will be limited to 1/2 hour.
Gail Garbridge, 2623 Woodland Road, Palm Township. Okay, so Baden Academy, any updates? Last month, I believe we talked about those window films. I was just wondering if there's an update on that. I'm not sure if I'm using the correct terminology. Sorry, on the old agenda. I'm curious, how much does it cost to educate each student, and I'm going to guess, so I don't know if the price varies. So the elementary student cost would be one price, the middle school and high school, the price would be different. And what does the state really give you? So I guess what I'm trying to ask, say it costs $16,000 to educate a high school student. Does the state give you $16,000 per student, or do they have a minimum like $12,000? I'm making up these numbers. I really don't know. So that's kind of what I'm asking. On the agenda itself, on page 3, with all the special education and mental health. So it's not that I don't support these. I think some of these are great institutions, but I'm wondering, is it possible to pare these down? Because some of them almost do the same thing. And I'm not quite sure why you have so many. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. Page 5, the technology purchase. I know the gentleman here already asked the question, but so as a parent, as a person who pays the taxes on 3 properties here, I know what I have to say probably won't matter, but I really, really oppose kindergartens having iPads. I know all of you are going to say, well, they probably already have it at home, and that's fine. You know, I think the parents are wrong, and I will tell them in their face. And I can have that discussion with any parent any time of the day if they choose to have it. But a kindergarten should not be having an iPad.
I don't even think third graders. I understand your rationale for these computers because of the fake pandemic that we had. But I really don't think we should be leaning towards technology for our students. And again, I know you're gonna go, and this is the way that the future is leading, but what happens when we have computer failure? Can we try to teach our students who are gonna be the future leaders of this world to use their brains? So that's where I am with that. I'm sorry. I mean, it is a lot of money. Just one clarification on the Infinite Campus. Is this some kind of grading transcript apparatus that the teachers use to keep their scores, or their grades, I'm sorry? There was one more. Am I done?
We're there. Go ahead, squeeze it in quick.
Thanks. The elevator. Why are we spending so much money for an elevator? I'm not quite sure for that. And what is this? That's it. Thank you, guys.
Well, to answer those?
Yes.
Or you want? Yes.
Huh? Yeah, sure.
Let's go on 479.
Wait. Well,
You want to get that and then answer them all?
let's address hers while we have them.
Okay. He just wants me to address hers first.
Okay.
All right, thanks. First was the window films. Yes, we are moving forward with the ordering of the window films that we discussed. I think that was a simple question there. Educate each student and how much does the state give you? They've adopted what's called a fair funding formula, and I won't claim to be the exact expert on that. I will tell you this as a general sense. They look at everyone's population, not only the number of students that you have, but the maybe the different levels of poverty and those things to be able to make a decision on how much you get. Often local dollars make up the majority of the budget. However, that is the case here, but our state funding is close in that amount as maybe compared to other districts. And some other districts may have even more state funding than they do local. So that's the general gist of that. You're asking for a specific cost. Well, there's basic ed funding, there's special education funding that you receive, there's reimbursement for different things, such as, a little bit for retirement or transportation. So it would be difficult to be able to do that. We do have, like, for example, they have a formula when figuring out charter school payments. And so those do fluctuate, and they have a sheet that you fill out. And then at the end, in the close of that form, it will give you a special education cost and a regular education cost, which I think we've reviewed, and you could probably reiterate that from the business office. So that's the general idea of what that is. I know it wasn't specific down to the cent that you're looking for possibly, but that's the best answer I think I could give on that. All special education programs, why don't we pare these down? I think there are some that are used more heavily than others. However, IEPs are an individualized education plan. And, parents have rights to explore these different institutions that offer certain services. So just because we have them on there doesn't mean we use them all or use one more than the other. We do consider the ones that are more local for transportation purposes, but sometimes, there are times where kids need to go to those other options. So they're approved by that. I think that was the answer to that. Technology purchase. One thing I would like to say to your point, everyone's entitled to their opinion on technology, but one thing I do think that you said is that we can't forget the use of our brains. And I've always said that technology can never replace good teaching, and I still stand behind that. However, it is a tool, and it's a tool that's being used more and more and more. So I appreciate your feedback on that, and everyone has kind of an opinion on screen time, and I get what you're saying there. We try to make sure that here in the district that we utilize it as a tool, but not the sole means of doing that, and that we provide good, solid instruction. And I know in my walkthroughs, we've seen that. So point taken. Infinite Campus, is our new SIS system. You may recall that Tyler went out of business and we had to purchase Infinite Campus. It does do grading and transcripts along with attendance and a variety of all the other student information management system components that you asked. Elevator, why? Elevators, we have to, make sure that we have those reviewed. That's trying to look at for the better term, but basically that they're monitored and and maintenance. I know there's another word. I'm still certificated. Sorry, on those lines. So that's partly included in there. And then in addition to that, if they go down, obviously, these are buildings that require people to be able to access other floors. So we have to have a maintenance agreement with these folks. The good news is we had a bunch of little ones for each one of the buildings, and by combining them all in negotiations, we are going to save some money per year. So that is why we have to do that. And what is a scissor lift? Scissor lift is a piece of equipment that it kind of rolls along, and then you might have seen it. It lifts up into the air so that people could, for example, here change lights and those types of things. To rent them, they cost quite a bit of money. Comes to the point anymore with the lights going out and the variety of other things that we have to do, that I think it will actually be fiscally responsible to purchase this, because we'll be able to do things when we need to do it. And from my perspective, it may actually save us money in the long run instead of having to rent it all the time for shorter periods of time. I think I answered your questions.
There's one more.
And I'll add with respect to your first inquiry, which was Baden Academy. As you know, the board has authorized a review process that is consistent with the charter school law. There is not a hearing scheduled at this time. And no other true public update is presently available, but when and if that hearing is scheduled, it will be announced and made public through all the ways that we typically do at public meetings and also in publications in our website. And I'll also add, with respect to state funding, because I think that was one of your questions. As you may have seen, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court last year found the funding formula that was referenced as unconstitutional in Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania Constitution provides a constitutional right to a free and appropriate education through these state mechanisms. The funding formula tends to drive funding support at the state level to school districts like Ambridge at not even close to half of what it costs to educate students. So the delta of that is borne then by local communities to pay for the cost to educate their children. And so if you continue to watch reports out of Harrisburg right now, they are in their budgeting process. We do encourage our governor, our legislators to continue to look at that and to fund public education at the levels that would truly be meaningful to each community depending on its need. So, stay tuned.
Let's go over 7-9 after this rest. A couple of things I think you guys want to put on your agenda in the future. Right now, with your charter schools that are taking away a lot of your funding. A lot of these schools are trying to consolidate schools, consolidate buildings and save money. I think it's time that we try to change the law in Pennsylvania that allows county schools. I think you guys, as school board members, need to look into it, call your legislators, start trying to get the law changed, that we can have county schools, which would save us thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to the taxpayer. That's number one. Number two, I don't know, what's your accountability on fundraising? When somebody has fundraising, do you have any accountability to that? Where's that money go? How much kids participate in it? That type of thing. Three, the field house. I'd like to see something being done with those bleachers, if you're losing 1/3 of your training facility because those bleachers don't move in and out. So you need to address that factor and try to get something done, and then start renting that building out to make money to start bringing stuff back in here. You can have tournaments, things of that nature. And last, I'd like to tell you a little story about one of your principals. When I was on the board, there was a lady that was up at Highland, and she made that school, Blue Ribbon School. Well, people on the board didn't really like her, and I don't know why to this day. So they moved her from there to State Street. She went to State Street. She made that blue ribbon school. So they moved her from there to Economy, and now I hear Economy is gonna be a blue ribbon school. And all the other schools are in a decline since she's left those areas. My concern is this: why don't we utilize this lady? I don't know how many years she has left. I know she's not young. Why don't we make her an assistant superintendent or somebody that's going to improvise some of these programs that she does to make her schools blue ribbon schools? And we're missing a boat with this lady. This lady's been here for a while, and I look at performance. You perform, I don't care if you like me or not. You do the job with what you're supposed to do and go from there. And right now, I just think you guys are missing a boat by not promoting her to something that you can utilize her knowledge. That's it. Thanks.
So, I'll maybe field a couple of these and then you can chime in when you think, but when we talk about fundraising, as I understand it, much of the fundraising is done, much of it that I see anyway, is done by the boosters, right?
I would say much, yes, most. I mean, there will be an occasional fundraiser, probably from a club or a group, and that club or group would have a sponsor, and that sponsor then would have officials in their club that were elected by their same and have meetings that they say this money comes in, this money goes out. So there are, but I would agree with you that most of the fundraising that goes on in the district is probably from boosters, which is outside our control. We do have booster policies, but we don't, we make recommendations, but we don't necessarily manage those to the point where we're in charge of those. The other ones that are clubs, and they would then do little fundraisers as the kids collect that money. It would go into an activities account, then spent back out of the activities account. And they're supposed to be having kids in certain positions that would be able to vote on the ins and outs of that.
I would just follow up with, maybe you and I can have a discussion at a different time to get some more clarity on what it is exactly that you mean on that subject. Because I think I'd like to explore that with you just to make sure I understand it. The Allegheny or the county schools, I'm not aware of any official actions being taken on that front, although I'm Kelly, can you speak to that Flourish Beaver County subject at all? Because I think that's kind of I'll let you take it from there.
Okay. I can speak on Flourish. I just that there's no talks through Flourish about county schools, if that's what you're asking.
At one time, I thought I heard them mention some merging of schools and.
Yes. Okay. So I can speak to that. Prior to Flourish becoming an organization in Beaver County, there was an organization prior to that. I can't recall the name of it. Dr. Pasquarello, do you recall?
The committee, like the Quality
Quality
Education
Education Council.
Even before that, there was one. Off the top of my head, I can't think of the name of it. I was not part.
Riverfront, something they said, or trust
Maybe.
or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was Riverfront, something smaller.
I do believe there were discussions on county schools at that point in time. But in all of since I've been on the Flourish board, which is from the beginning, there has been no conversations thus far about moving to county schools. I know everybody has their own opinions, and opinions will be shared, and I'm sure there are opportunities for people to contact legislators with their thoughts on that. But as far as any connection to Flourish, I can't speak to that.
Okay.
In
All right.
particular.
I didn't know if they were still talking about that kind of merger.
The only thing
discussion or-
we talked about is like shared services, things like that we could start to look into to try to save some money for taxpayers. But we just actually hired our first CEO about a month ago. And so we're just kind of getting into that.
All right, thank you. Dr. Pasquarello, would you like to speak to the bleachers part of this. I know you've got a pretty good handle on that at this point.
So the bleachers at the field house, you know, to repair those, and we haven't gotten a recent cost, but I know that to repair or replace, I'm not sure if we could even repair them, as I recall. They've kind of been fastened in for safety is what I wasn't here when that occurred, but that's my understanding that they're fastened down now, so I'm not sure how and if they are able to be repaired, or if you would have to get new ones. But I know it would be a very costly endeavor. I'm not saying that you should or should not do that. That's, you know, your choice as a board, but it wouldn't be something that I would recommend right now. I know that there were some previous costs saying upwards of 300,000 maybe. I don't want to be
It was,
quoted.
you and I have had discussions on that subject, and it was a lot, but that was some time ago. That was a number of years.
So I don't.
So can I speak to that? Dr. Pascarella, I think I had sent an email, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago. We had talked about it briefly, but is there any way we can try to at least get somebody back in just to take a more recent look at them and see if there is any way to fix them and the possible amount, unless somebody is objecting to that, to just investigating? I know we had that newer bleacher company that came in and helped us to fix the gym bleachers. I don't know. I mean, it might still be that amount. It might be more. I don't know, but just to kind of get an idea.
Dr. Pascarella, I know we had, and that's a couple years back, but you might be able to pull something up when we did get that estimate. I remember it being somewhere between the $300,000-$400,000 mark. Yes.
I think the one that we were talking about in that era we tried to search for that when Mrs. Ramasco asked for it recently, and we found the old one. I think that was more of the individuals that talking about utilizing our gym and donating that and
Yeah.
saying that this is the price that he could get off of somebody and this is what he would donate. So I'm not sure that we got enough as much as like an official cost on that, but that was roughly, as I recall, what the price was going to be there. But if the board wants another price, that's what we'll do.
I'd like to see a cost on that. If you could get a estimated amount, what it would cost to get that looked at.
To repair or replace whatever could be done.
Agreed.
Good.
All right. I think there was one other point that you made there, Mr. Koval, that was employee related, and I appreciate the commentary on that point. So with that, are there any other speakers?
I do have one more thing. I
Any
would
other
add.
questions?
The only other, what I was reiterating there, I would like to know the cost of getting an appraisal like that, an estimate of what it would cost us from the district as well.
To even get the appraisal?
Yes,
To even-
yes. Just
The
for,
cost money to get the.
Okay. Well, I think obviously my opinion on this is we may get somebody who will come out and give you the first one. And then that would give you a ballpark. And
Right.
if you, I don't know that. Some people would charge for that. I'm not aware of too many people that charge for that.
okay,
After you get that, if that is a ballpark number that you're considering, then obviously it's most likely going to be above a threshold. You either have to see if it's on a state contracted price that you could just go with, or if you'd have to put it out for the paper, and then there is cost in that. But I think for an initial one, to give you an idea, we probably won't have a cost for that.
Okay.
Or it would be limited.
I would like to see that then as well. Okay.
Everybody good?
Motion to
All
adjourn.
right. Thank you. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any adjourned? No. That's ready.
All right.